Hello, my name is Alex and I'm going to tell you the story of a wonderful flight we made over Torngat Mountains and Northern Labrador in July 2024. We left Sherbrooke early morning and headed to Schefferville over the Manic 5 Dam and vast uninhabited areas on the way to Wabush and Schefferville. My co-pilot here is James Eby, also a pilot and traveler and a good friend. Flying to Schefferville is several hours of fairly uniform and sometimes boring terrain. Getting more and more Nordic, the trees slowly disappear and it all turns into tundra. After about 5 hours of flight, we arrive in Schefferville. Getting off gas in the north is getting more and more difficult. Here in Schefferville is the last place where we can refuel before the trip to the Torngat Mountains. But even here, there is no longer a fuel pump, so off-gas is only sold in 200-liter drums at $960 a drum. We have no choice, so we buy 2 of them. A local Montagnier man named Jeremy is helping us refuel. After Schefferville, we are flying northeast towards the coast of Labrador. There is a town called Nain, which is our next destination, where we are hoping to overnight. So first we are crossing vast expanses of forest tundra, but as we approach the coast it becomes more interesting with beautiful river valleys and rocks and then islands and sea inlets. An hour and a half after departure from Schefferville, we are at the Atlantic coast of Labrador, in the province of Newfoundland and Labrador. Our next destination is Nain, the place we're looking for. All we know about that small town, that it has a gravel runway 1900 feet long. Just a few minutes later, we finally see the town of Nain, located in one of these inlets. You can see the landing strip right on the waterfront, and we're going to stop and overnight at this location. Nain is the northernmost settlement in Labrador. It is an Inuit town of about 1,200 inhabitants, originally founded by Moravian missionaries back in the 18th century. It's an absolutely beautiful spot, and as I walk around it early morning, I can't get over how beautiful the landscape is and the town itself. Just an absolute delight. Nain is also the center of the Inuit land of Labrador called Nunatsiavut. We see a lot of signs in English and Inuktitut. And here at the hotel there is even a small lesson of Inuktitut if someone is brave enough to try to pronounce these words. Suddenly, oops, I wonder what this sounds like in Inuktitut. Early in the morning I see a fisherman rowing to shore. I walk towards him and meet a local Inuit man named Richard with a boat full of freshly caught Arctic char. He cleaned a beautiful fish and gave it to me. Wow. What's your name? Richard. Richard. Oh, very nice, Richard. And then what do you do with them? You freeze them or?
Smoke them in smokehouse.
Oh, you smoke them, okay. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, they don't have Arctic char in Goose Bay? No.
Salmon, yes.
Okay.
Salmon.
Salmon, yeah.
Salmon up here completely hard.
Oh yeah. So we get lucky. It's a beautiful morning, and now the best part of our adventure begins. This morning we are going to take off and fly north along the Labrador coast towards a place called Suglek. And after that we will follow towards our ultimate destination, Torngat Mountains. The coast of Labrador is spectacular, with mountains, fjords, islands and inlets. We start seeing patches of snow and icebergs ahead of us at sea. We watch this amazing panorama for about an hour, following the coast, before approaching a place called Hebron. Hebron is 200 kilometers north of Nain. Here there was another Moravian Protestant mission. And you can see some pictures of that settlement before it closed down in mid-20th century. Just a few miles north of Hebron, we start looking for a mysterious abandoned airstrip called Saglek and marked as abandoned on aeronautical maps. This used to be a US Air Force base, and there is still a radar station that is functioning, and in fact the runway is quite a usable shape. We parked beside the Twin Otter and talked to its pilots, Henry and Manessa, about interesting stories from northern flying. They are waiting for fog to lift at Iqaluit to go to their destination. And at the same time we cook lunch and eat the delicious Arctic char given to us by Richard the fisherman in Nain. Okay, leaving Saglek, heading to the mountains. The most exciting part of our trip starts here. We're finally heading straight to the mountains. We take off from Saglek and fly northwest, heading directly to the Torngat Mountains that are less than 30 minutes away. It's a clear but windy day, so we climb about 7,000 feet above sea level to avoid possible turbulence from the peaks as we watch the terrain rise higher and higher. There are no prominent landmarks at first, till we see in front of us the Korok River Valley. Korok is the main river here. It starts at the Quebec-Labrador border and flows west to Ungava Bay. In the valley we recognize the Korok airstrip, which is the only access point for aircraft bringing Parks Canada personnel and visitors to this remote area. It is a short natural gravel strip, only suitable for rugged bush plains like the Twin Otter. From 7,000 feet above, we see the airstrip and the line of white tents installed by Parks Canada. On the radio we hear an aircraft preparing for takeoff down below. We exchange a few words with the pilot. So here finally we are heading directly to the main ridge of the Torngats from the Korok River Valley. They are straight ahead of us and the landscape is absolutely spectacular. It was a little bit difficult to navigate and fly the plane and realize exactly where we were, so we just followed the general direction, looking around, and only later we realized what we actually saw. Like right here, we are almost right on top of Mont d'Iberville, with these two little lakes behind it. Quite beautiful colored water in this mostly colorless landscape. And we keep flying along the ridge, heading north. The word Torngat means place of the spirits in Inuktitut. This landscape is completely unreal. I've seen mountains before, but I've never seen anything like this. It looks like a science fiction movie. For a geologist, it's a perfect spectacle of glacier erosion, mountains shaped by glaciers, very sharp, narrow ridges cut by ice, flat tops, cliffs. You never see such forms created by just running water. It takes ice, and before there were big glaciers here, Some of them are still visible. There are still some small glaciers in these valleys, and this is the only place in eastern North America on the continental part where you still have glaciers. So we keep flying north towards Nachwak Fjord, that you can see in the right part of the image, along the ridge. This whole land is part of a park that made into a Canadian national park, an area of about 7,000 square kilometers that is now protected and taken care of. Surprisingly, the air is very calm. We approach the mountains at 7,000 feet, worrying about turbulence. Remember that the height of Mont d'Iberville is 5,400. It's the highest peak of Quebec and Labrador as well, where it's called Mount Cobwick. We slowly descend, and we descend below some of the peaks and still fly in relatively calm air without any problem. I think less people have ever seen this area than the number of people who go to Alaska or Iceland, even though we're not that far from, say, Montreal or Quebec City. But there is hardly any access here. There's no roads, no towns, no airports. It's very hard to get to this beautiful, amazing place. So we're still heading north, and we get a beautiful view of Nachwak Fjord and valleys running down to it. I sometimes think about a possible landing site in case we have a problem with the engine or something. We would likely go into one of these valleys. It's a friendlier place than the bare mountain tops. But now we are starting to get nervous about our fuel reserves, because we still need about 2 hours of fuel to get back to Schefferville after this. So, however beautiful it is, we can just keep flying over the mountains. So in a few seconds from now, we are going to turn left and head south, trying to see Mont d'Iberville again, and then take a straight course back to Schefferville, because our fuel reserves are getting low. So here we get our last glimpse of Mont d'Iberville. We are now flying south on the west side of the ridge, and we can clearly see the summit of Mont d'Iberville with a small glacier beneath it. At first we flew over it at 7,000 feet, but now we have descended lower, so we are at about 5,000 below the summit, and we get a nice view of it. Once past it, we take the direct heading to Schefferville and head home back to civilization.